doing the right thing for the right reason is always going to have a good result. Maybe not as you would see it, but we're talking about ultimately a good result with our relationship with God. So you didn't like the golden rule?
That was the point. I don't know. I just complicated things a lot before in my life, and just turning things around in my head and making it more complicated than it is. So I didn't like that golden rule. No.
That means you didn't like the Bible.
And I call myself a Christian,
You know, you can't like one part and not the other part.
Yeah.
And really accept the Bible as the truth, because then you're the truth and you just cherry pick.
You pick and choose what you like, Yeah. Well,
I like that part. I don't like that part.
Well, we're very used to doing that, though. That's how I did before, at least in my spiritual life. I just found some pieces here and some there, and you pick and choose, and you make your own little blend, and you live after that, and that's it.
Yeah, that's your philosophy.
Yeah.
We call that salad philosophy. You take a little from here and mix it all up. Then you got a nice spiritual salad. And it's really tasty to you because you chose carefully all the ingredients.
So what's the problem then?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the problem with that salad then? Well,
what's the problem with it? Because that means the things you didn't accept, you rejected.
Yeah.
So if you were cherry picking the Bible, you rejected the things you didn't like. So that's, you're above the Bible. You're the decision maker, and what's good and what's not good, and what's true and what's not true. So it's all about your pleasure and your comfort. Oh, I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I don't feel comfortable with something else. So you're the teacher and the final authority.
Yeah.
Which means there's no authority at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's very popular,
It is.
Now
it is
kind of the norm. I mean, that's been the norm for a long time anyway.
Yeah, and that's even what's promoted now, in different podcasts, and just, find your own way and do your own thing, and
follow your bliss, and
yeah.
And your bliss is just what turns you on. It's what you think is going to make you happy. Follow your bliss, what is your mind and senses, desire, and that's your bliss.
I guess if you understand that if you can accept that your heart can be covered over or contaminated, or that you are conditioned, then you can see that perhaps I don't see clearly. So what I think I want and what I think is the truth may not be really what I do want and what is the truth, because I can't see clearly. I guess that's...
But rarely is it that people will admit that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to...
We met an old man in the mountains yesterday, 70 years old. And he was telling us, he wasn't telling us because we just said a few hellos and went on. But he met another person that was with us later. She went back down earlier, and they met, and he was telling her that he's got this amazing process that he wants to teach her and me and et cetera, how to get energy from the sun, and she said he did something, I don't know, said some numbers and then some quote mantra and so on, repeated it 3 times, and he gets a lot of energy from the sun. But the point is, maybe not, that's not the point at all. The point is, the sun has a lot of energy. Everything in nature has got energy, the different foods we eat and so on. But that's material energy, number one. It's nothing to do with spiritual life.
Yeah.
And number two, what are you going to do with that energy? You got Red Bull gives you energy as well. But what are you going to do with this energy that you got? You're just going to try to, be a more energetic materialist, enjoying the world or living longer or whatever. See, that's as far as people can take it. They can't take it past the material considerations, whether it's good or bad or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I see.
That's the hard part. So the spiritual salad is basically on that level as well. If you look what people accept and what they don't accept, it's all about how it affects them materially, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It affects their material situation.
Yeah, like you just said, my mind just took things and jumbled it, turned it all around, and just confused everything. So what is the mind? That's just a material thing as well. In that use of it, I mean, the mind can be an absolute, perfect spiritual tool as well. But that's another consideration. We're not talking about that.
No. Sure.
So like the golden rule, I mean, that's such a wonderful, simple rule. I mean, but why is it called golden? Because gold is a symbol of the best, number one. That's the gold standard. What does that mean? That's the standard that's above all other standards, and we should try to come up to the gold standard.
The top.
In whatever category you're talking about.
Yeah.
But we hear that phrase a lot. Oh, this is the gold standard.
Yeah.
So the golden rule is the golden standard. It's so simple, but yet so emphatic. I mean, it's just so clear to understand. How would you like to be treated? Would you like people to treat you kindly and gently and with respect and, honesty and truthfulness and, care and love? And probably everybody would answer, yeah. Nobody would, oh, yeah, I want people to be mean to me, reject me, and, put me down and belittle me and talk lies about me. Nobody, unless they were really, really strange people. And there are some now like that. But in general, just be real. Nobody would want that. Everybody wants to be treated nicely. But that means, according to the golden rule, we got to treat others like that. It's not like everybody's got a different, what did you say you were thinking?
What I said I was thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That everyone's got a different standard, and it's what I want is different from everyone else wants. So I can't do unto others as I would have them do unto me, because each person is a separate individual, and everyone's different, and what everyone needs is different, and there's no unity. There's no common denominator that everyone needs. That's what I was thinking.
You were thinking like that.
Yes.
But the flaw is that all those qualities that I just mentioned are not different for anybody.
Right.
I mean, a dog likes to be treated kindly and gently and with attention and love and, care and all those qualities. And this just is a dog. And definitely he's got a different standard on the level you were thinking. He likes abominable things to eat that you wouldn't even look at, or many other activities in a dog's life that, you wouldn't consider to be what you want to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those golden standards, if you will, are applicable to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. But just why is it so hard then? Because it seems like most often, it's a nice standard, but you might feel and think that, but others don't treat me nicely, and they started it, so I'm not going to treat them nicely. I mean, if you boil down to it,
get revenge.
Yeah,
that's not the gold standard.
No.
That's the black standard.
Yeah,
because then you've got all this hate and this, revenge and this, screw you kind of attitude. You don't treat me nice, I'm not going to treat you nice. You don't respect me, I'm not going to respect you. Tit for tat. So it's the opposite of the golden rule. You wouldn't want to be treated like that. So, but you quite are willing and stand on the platform. I'm going to treat you like you treat me.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So if they don't treat you nice, then you're not going to treat them nice.
Yeah.
But that's not what was meant when it was said about the golden rule.
But that's how it's even been almost promoted in society today, because if they don't treat you nice, you deserve better. So don't stay in that relationship, or don't stay with that person. If they don't treat you nice, then get someone else who does, or you treat yourself.
But
nice.
you can still treat them nice. You may don't have to closely associate with them and become a victim of their abuse.
Right. Yeah.
But you can still be nice to them on the level that the exchange takes place. That's what happens in marriage relationships. Oh, you don't treat me nice, so I'm not going to treat you nice. You yell at me, I'm going to yell at you.
Yeah, exactly.
You cheat on me, I'm going to cheat on you. Tit for tat.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like...
But nobody wins.
Yeah.
There's no winner here.
Exactly. And yeah.
It's just everybody drags the other one down.
And just spiraling.
I'm going to hurt you more than you hurt me. So it just becomes a competition of who can be the worst person to the other one. I'm going to be the baddest guy. You hadn't seen bad till you see what I'm going to do to you. So anyway, the Bible's golden rule is so nice, And I've said this before. I don't know if on the podcast or not, but I've said it frequently. I said it recently. As my father lived, that was his guiding light in life. And he said that, live by the golden rule. And he did it. He put that into practice. It was not lip service.
What was this? Yeah. No, just like, what was the symptoms in him of doing that?
He never treated anybody bad. Never. He was the most honest person you'll ever see. If a criminal gave him 10 cents too much in some kind of exchange, he'd find that guy and give him his 10 cents back. Oh, I'm sorry, you overpaid me 10 cents.
Wow.
And it might take him the rest of his life to find that guy, but he'd make it. He was the most honest, respectful person. And the reason he was like that, because in the Bible it said, treat others as you would have them treat you.
Yeah.
And that's what he lived by. So I never heard him say bad things about people. He didn't agree with everybody, and he might comment that he didn't agree. But, he was something that he often said. I heard him say it often. Somebody had done something bad. I don't know, whatever it was. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And his response to that, somebody else would be criticizing this guy. He did this, he did that, they did this, whatever. And he'd say, they did pretty well considering the chance they had. That's the way he saw it.
Yeah, I see what you...
Considering the chance they had, they did pretty well. I mean, that was who he was. And it wasn't, some artificial thing. That's just who he was.
Wow.
And so that was how he personified it. And the last thing he said, I don't know if it was the exact last thing, but the last thing he said, before he died was, if I have hurt anybody, I am very, very sorry, and I ask them to please forgive me. And then he died. So that was carrying it to the end. So that was a very, strong beacon that I grew up around.
But how did he because people must have stepped him on the toes. People must have hurt him and done bad things. How did he get the strength, and how did a person in general get the strength to follow?
Because he had God on his side. He believed in God totally.
Yeah.
Jesus and God were his strength, his shelter, his foundation of everything. I mean, he did have that connection, and he had that strength. And that's how he had the power, the strength, the compassion, the mercy, the forgiveness. Because, that's what it was. And he believed every word in the Bible, every word. I mean, as far as I know, I never heard him say anything different than that. I never saw any inclination or indication that he didn't have that. So he was not a vegetarian. But if the Bible had said you should be a vegetarian, I mean, directly, it does in its own way, but he didn't have the guidance to see that message. He just didn't have it. But if it had said that, he would have been a vegetarian, and strong, staunch vegetarian, based on the Bible says this. The most law-abiding person. It was like almost to a fault. Not really, but the law at that time, the speed limit, the law was 55 miles an hour. He would not go 56 miles an hour.
Oh, really?
Because it was against the law. And if a car passed him going 60 or 65 or 70 or whatever, he said, look at that guy. Where's the police? Because that guy's breaking the law. He could not accept people breaking the law. It just was against everything. Because the law of God, the law of man, it was the law. And you don't violate that. And that was, again, who he was. One time we went swimming. I guess I was probably 12 or 14 or something. And we went on a Sunday for outing, my mom, dad, sister, myself. And we stopped by this public swimming place. And it was kind of like a lake. This was farm country. And this was kind of like a small lake that some guy had just made it a place where people could come and swim. And you paid a little bit, you paid whatever you paid. And you could just go and swim and lay on the little beach they had, whatever. And it was a dressing room where you went and changed into your swimming trunks. And then there was no lockers for your clothes. You just hung your clothes on a peg that was on the wall. So there's all these clothes hanging on the wall, and people were out there swimming and whatever. And so we hung our clothes up, and he had a little money in his pocket, maybe $5. I don't know what it was, just some pocket change, so to speak. We went swimming. Came back. He got ready to he put his clothes on, and somebody had stolen that money out of his pocket.
Oh.
And he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that somebody would steal money out of his pocket. That's how much faith he had in people.
Right.
Why would anybody steal somebody else's money?
Right.
I don't understand that. How could they do that? So you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He wouldn't steal money from somebody else.
Yeah.
So he couldn't relate to somebody stealing money from him.
Wow.
Golden rule. So he wouldn't go steal that guy's money just because the guy stole his money.
Pay you back. Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, yeah. And that's what you need. You need someone to break away from the... Otherwise, I was just going to say before, it just spirals down, like you said, in the relationship. It's just kind of like you're copying downward, but you never really have the strength to lift yourself above and be the one who respects and who tolerates and who forgives, even though the other person is not even asking to be forgived, which is not usually the case.
Yeah, but, he was a strong follower of Jesus, and, his response would be, well, the people who persecuted Jesus, nailed him to the cross, put the crown of thorns on his head, made him carry the cross, under great duress up to the hill and so on. Those people didn't ask Jesus to forgive them, but he forgave them. He prayed to his Father, please forgive them. Yeah. See, that would be his response.
Yeah.
Emulate Jesus. Don't emulate these other people.
Well, you just made me think about something that my brother said to me once when we were talking about moral standards, and he said, well, if you didn't have the Bible and if you didn't have Jesus' teachings, it wouldn't matter because it would be the same. Like people it wouldn't change the world in any way. It's just some moral to live by, but it wouldn't really change anything. It would be, we might as well have done without it. It wouldn't make a difference. That's his feeling about it. What can you say?
Well, we basically are doing without it now. Let's look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
In reality, that whole influence has been removed to a large degree, not completely, but to a large degree. So that moral standard and all those things from the Bible and Jesus have basically been muted. Yeah. So what do we got?
Chaos.
We got quarrel, chaos, confusion, degradation, immorality, just lawlessness in people's hearts and minds.
Conflict, suffering. Yeah.
And just, so we've got what your brother said wouldn't make a difference, but it does make a difference. Because when the time period I'm talking about with my father, the whole society that I lived in, I'm not saying, all over, but the society I grew up in had that standard. Yeah. And they did accept that standard, and they did try to emulate it to a certain degree. It was individual. I'm not saying everybody was like my father because they weren't, But, he never smoked. He never drank. Why? Because the Bible said your body is a temple of God. Don't desecrate it. That was his reason. If it had said something else, then he would have acted differently. But that's what it said, so that's what he said. And he said, I don't want to be controlled by a higher master, like cigarettes and alcohol and all that. He considered that a higher, superior, not a higher, but a force, let's say, that could control you.
Right.
And he said, I didn't want to be controlled by outside forces like that.
Yeah. No.
So everything he did was based on some real reason. And yeah, it worked.
just one aspect to this, but I guess that relates to forgiveness as well. It's a topic that we should talk about sometime. We planned it, but that by showing others respect, if they do something bad to you and you in turn show them respect, someone may feel like you're saying that what they did is okay, or that you're somehow approving what they did, or let's say they hurt someone who was close to you, and due to that fact your relationship with them is is distant, so you refuse to show them respect. You might even refuse to talk to them, whether it's in a family relationship or anything, because you feel that if you talk to them, if you show them respect, if you relate to them, and then you're saying what they did is and what they do is right. You see what I mean?
But if it doesn't say that. It doesn't say you forgive somebody. That means Jesus was saying what those persecutors did to him was right? No.
Yeah.
Of course it wasn't right. Nobody would say that was the right thing to do with any kind of vision at all. But he still said, Father, forgive me. Can you go get my computer? I got one thing I want to read. I just received this a couple days ago, and I just read it now. I didn't have time to read it before. But it's just exactly on this idea, and so you doing the right thing for the right reason is always going to have a good result. So the right thing is to forgive. The right reason, because we've been guided from God, from his representatives, etc., the Lord in our heart. That's the reason. That's the right reason.
Yeah.
So it's got to have a good result. Maybe not as you would see it, but we're talking about ultimately a good result with our relationship with God. I mean, that's basically where we got to come back to every time. Because we could argue to the end about, but this material relationship with somebody and somebody else. I've got my justification, and look what they did to me, and you think I'm going to, cow down to them and be nice to them.
Exactly. And they will change my material situation. It will be less comfortable in my material situation, or it will be strange or difficult for me, or... Yeah, I see. You could argue forever.
You could argue forever. But let me see if I can find this really quickly. I think I probably can. Okay. This is by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Okay. Pay due respects to the extroverts of the world, but do not be appreciated. Let me start again. Pay due respects to the extroverts of the world, but do not be appreciative of their manners and conduct. They are to be shaken off from your mind. See, pay due respects to the extroverts. So, there you go. But do not be appreciative of their manners and conduct. That doesn't mean you have to accept what they're doing is good.
Extroverts means like offenders, or what?
Extroverts, those who are displaying all kind of symptoms of false prestige and arrogance and etc. And as a result of that, they're going to say things and do things. They're going to have certain mannerisms and etc.
Okay.
But he says still, pay due respects to the extroverts of the world. But do not be appreciative of their manners and conduct. So you're not condoning what they do, but still, you pay your respect. They are to be shaken off from your mind. Don't hold it in your mind and, I don't like these guys. Just shake them off from your mind. That's what he says. So it's the same thing, We just gave a lecture on forgiveness to the Polish audience, and it was the idea forgiveness is not a weakness. It actually takes real deep strength to forgive somebody. And you ask, where did my dad get that? From the source of strength. And if you don't have that, then you're under the influence of lust and anger and greed and jealousy and envy and revenge and etc.
Yeah. Because you have you have no connection to something deeper, and you have no, just like you've got the right
any
reason.
way we look at it and anything we talk about, it doesn't matter what subject, the bottom line is you need that spiritual strength from your relationship with God and God's representatives to do the right thing, to be successful, to know the right reason and execute it, to be able to follow the teachings. It takes great strength. What does, Srila Prabhupada say in his Gems of Wisdom, to learn wisdom is a challenge, and to practice, to put that wisdom into practice is a greater challenge.
Yeah.
To accept the wisdom is a challenge, and to put it into practice is even a greater challenge.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess it's an ongoing, and it's a gradual and ongoing thing that you more and more accept the reality of a higher power, and the more you do that, you will feel the strength and the lightheartedness that comes from that in your life as well, and you will see that, like the golden rule.
You'll feel your heart be relieved.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the weight of the burden of carrying all this darkness will be taken away.
Yeah.
And it will be replaced. If darkness is taken away, what happens next? Light comes in. You take the curtain off the window, the light immediately comes in the room. And then, wow, beautiful. So, yeah.
But I'm just thinking, why is it? Why is it? And that will help a person to understand what he can do and what he can do for others. Why is it so that it's so hard to follow the golden rule? I mean, why is there tendency to not do that?
We're contaminated.
Yeah.
The golden rule, you can't just implement it with your mind. It's the same thing. You've got to be a spiritually, let's say, situated or, empowered person to be able to actually implement it. Other words, it's just words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's good, but I can't do that. There's so many things in this little thing that I just was given access to. Let's see what else I say. Let me see. There's a few good ones in here. You cannot appreciate transcendental matters with the reasoning of the world. And that golden rule is a transcendental matter, right? You cannot appreciate transcendental matters with the reasoning of the world. It is sheer nonsense to decry them with the measuring stick of your intellect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because wow.
Chant the Maha Mantra loudly and with attachment. This will drive away inertia, worldly evils, and pest.
Wow.
There's a method here that one has to apply.
That will drive away evils and worldly evils and
worldly evils, inertia, worldly evils, and pest. Yeah. Yeah.
And this just happens to be what we always come back to, that's what's required. Because someone, we had someone come to our class, was it yesterday? Yeah, and we were talking about this, how, the world is dark and how, all these bad qualities in or undesirable qualities. And then he said, this is the first time he was in our class, and he said, I think that inherently in us we have the light, we have the happiness, we just have to uncover it.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
And I told him, yeah.
Now the next question would be, okay, but how do you do that?
How do you do that? Exactly. Which he didn't know, which was,
Yeah.
Well, because
you have to have a method.
Yeah. Their method, the method out there, is you get rid of your mind, you get rid of your ego, and then I don't know, but
you can't get rid of your mind and you can't get rid of your ego, so they're just dreaming. You are the ego. There is no such thing as getting rid of the ego. You are the ego. Ego means I. You can't get rid of yourself. False ego, yes, you can get rid of that. And that's the whole cleansing process. False ego is all the things that we believe is true. I'm the body, I'm the mind, this world is my home, I'm the enjoyer, this world is here for my pleasure. It's just, full hedonism. That's false ego. Now, you can get rid of that because it's false. It's not who you are. But you can't get rid of the ego. And that's what these, quote, yogis, spiritual experts, life therapists and whatever, they try to put forth this kind of idea that you can get rid of your ego. They don't even know what ego is.
Yeah.
They're thinking, oh, don't be a bad guy, be a good guy.
Yeah, that means exactly. That's what they usually mean when they say that. Get rid of ego.
Yeah.
Be a good guy.
Just be a good guy, compassionate, like everybody, love yourself. But that's all false ego too. They don't ever say, come to the who you really are, the eternal loving servant of the Lord. They don't say that, and act on that identity. That's your true identity. They say get rid of it and become just nothing. Get rid of your mind. That's just Buddhist philosophy. Yeah. And they may say it's Buddhist philosophy, the Buddha said it, or they may say some guru said it, or they may just have created it from hearing it from others and repeating it, whatever. But it's just a nihilistic philosophy. Get rid of yourself.
Yeah.
And if there's no self, there's no problem.
Yeah.
Because the self is what causes the problem, so annihilate the self, and the problems are non-existent because there's no body to experience the problem.
The problem is that you can't do that. This says in the Bhagavad-gita, you can't eliminate yourself. You're eternal. The soul is primeval, eternal, non-dying.
Yeah.
The self cannot be cut to pieces. And, nor...
So...
Yeah. Yeah. But... doesn't it make more sense that we have all these, we have qualities, we have inherent qualities, and that's real. There's something real behind the love we see and the care we see and the qualities we see in each other. And that's why it's so difficult to forgive and follow the golden rule, because we're people. If we were blanks, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be such a struggle. But we have feelings, we have desires, we have a personality, real personality, and often it's a bit covered over, but it's there. And
so that's why we have to cleanse ourselves of all these coverings of, contamination. And 16th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, there's a whole chapter devoted to the divine and demoniac natures. By nature, we're divine, but by contamination and, corruption, we've become demoniac. And but underneath those adverse qualities, there's the golden qualities.
Yeah.
One person I know wrote a song, and she titled the song "Diamond in the Rough." They were all a diamond, But, and when you mine for diamonds or whatever, they're not just sitting there perfectly, faceted and free of, just sparkling gems. I mean, they're covered in whatever they're covered in, mud and dirt and, embedded in another rock or whatever. So you got to get that diamond, but you don't see it. I mean, you don't see that diamond, but it's there. So that's why they take it and they polish it and take away all the things that are imperfect, the imperfections, if you will.
Mm.
And then you got the diamond.
Mm.
So we're diamonds in the rough. So we need to be polished up, and that's what the holy names do. They take away all that roughness. But we have to not just think that we don't have to do anything. I mean, we're rough. I mean, according to our degrees of, background and where we've been and what we've done and what we think. And so we're rough. I mean, we're rough around the edges. And we're just rough.
Yeah.
So when we start trying to get rid of the roughness, we have to a little bit work at it. We can't just accept it. Well, that's just the way I am. I'm just a rough guy in the way I speak, the way I treat others. I've always been like that and so on. We're not told we're told you got to, not do those things. You got to catch yourself. You got to, with intelligence, say no.
Mm.
I don't want to be like that. And if it comes out, I'm sorry, please forgive me, or, just tell you, no, I can't act like that. There's a lot of practice involved, You take the philosophy and you put it into practice, like we were just saying, Prabhupada said. To practice it is more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, a person to be spiritually successful must be determined.
Yeah, because there's a lot of practice involved. There's a lot of hours of... Yeah.
Not try to find excuses for our roughness, just accept, that was absolutely unacceptable. That wasn't, no, I'm not, please forgive me, I'm not going to do that. With real feeling.
Yeah.
So when the harsh words come out, when the disrespect is obvious, when all those things occur, you just, got to see it as, no, this is not acceptable.
And you will always win when you do that. You will...
Right thing for the right reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Put that on Instagram, I think. I'm going to make a quote out of that. Or share that quote.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So anyway, the golden rule is beautiful.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't forget that. We should try to remind ourselves. Would I want somebody to do this to me? Would I be okay with that? Probably not. So, well, Ruben, maybe we'll chant.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Right thing for the right reason.
Chant for to. That's actually exactly who said that. That sometimes when you chant, you don't experience that much result. But then you can ask yourself, am I chanting for the right reason? Am I chanting to
We're
purify?
Not chanting for our pleasure.
No, exactly. But it was written, or he said, I can't remember but that you chant because you want to cleanse this contamination that is covering your heart, and you want to come back to your true nature of your true qualities.
Why come back to your true nature?
Yeah.
so you can please the one. So yeah. Okay. Haribo Gauranga, Gauranga Haribo.
Got it.
Maybe we should introduce Chaitanya.
Yeah. That's good. It's time now.
Yeah. Chaitanya is a name synonymous with the same person, Gauranga. Gauranga, Chaitanya, two different names for the Supreme Lord who appeared 500 years ago and inaugurated the chanting as the way to achieve these goals we've been speaking about.
Gauranga, Chaitanya, and Haribol.
So Chaitanya Haribol.
Chaitanya Haribol.
Or Haribo Chaitanya. Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo.
Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol,
Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo,
Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol,
Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo,
Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol,
Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo,
Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol,
Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol,
Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol,
Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribol, Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo, Chaitanya Haribo. Haribo Chaitanya, Chaitanya Haribo, Haribo Chaitanya, Chaitanya Haribo,
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 Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya,
Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya,
Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya,
Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya,
Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo Chaitanya,
Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo
Haribo Chaitanya, Haribo, Haribo.
Hari Haribo. The Golden Lord.
The Golden Lord, golden everything, see? Golden rule, golden Lord. Yeah, keep the gold in your life and you'll be golden.
Thank you very much.
All right, Ruben, thank you. Thank everyone who's joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and send in your comments and say hello
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to hear from you, whoever's listening out there. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll see you next time.
We will do. Thank you, Balakhilya.
Namaste, Haribol.
Namaste.